When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
You may think you know McDonald's drinks, but you don't know them like this. From fruity refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry-flavored Sprite topped with cold foam. Who knew ice-cold drinks could be so fire? 6 all-new drinks are here. Try them all, now at McDonald's. Refreshers contain caffeine.
Hello and welcome to episode 415 of the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
filmmaking,
from indie film to studio films and
high-end TV and everything in between.
How to get made, how to make them, and how to try not to
royally F them up.
In a very, very humble opinion, a beat to it.
So humble.
Welcome back to the Filmmakers Podcast. This week, you're in for a treat as we delve into the world of His Three Daughters with the film's director, Azazel Jacobs, and 2 of its brilliant stars, Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen.
Whoa.
Dom sat down and chatted with all 3 of them, not together. Well, how was that, Dom? That must have been a treat. Filmed as well.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I did sit down. I mean, I don't think I've done an interview standing as of yet, but I'm
You're right. I think that's just a podcast thing to say, isn't it? We sat down with. Well, yeah, of course you stood up.
Well, I will say that on the sitting down thing, because after obviously I did the interview with Azazel is. It's a much, it's a more spacious room. There's like one chair. There's lots of space. There was a spare chair lying around. I just went and got a chair and sort of sat next to him for the, the photo afterwards. That was all very good. The
nice. chair dancing,
doing chair dancing. Yeah, musical chairs. But then, then with Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen doing the picture afterwards, and I was just sort of I don't want to impose here.
Sure, you'll go back,
you want to sort of be respectful and
room for a little one.
Yeah. Room for a little one, exactly. So I was just like, okay, well, where can I crouch down, or sort of do something that's that's reasonable. And Elizabeth kind of just made space on the 2 chairs that they were sitting on, and Carrie got up and 3 little what's the word?
Pigs.
3 little pigs in a blanket.
Really?
It was very like welcoming, and it was a nice moment anyway.
Well, that's amazing.
So there's a new Facebook profile.
Yeah, for you. Yeah, that's cute. You can find that picture wherever you find Don, because there it will be. It was Rebecca Ferguson and Simon Pegg, and now you've got 2 new friends.
They're both battling out for favourite photo.
For those that don't know who Elizabeth Olsen and Carrie Coon are, for one, you're mad if you listen to this podcast and you don't know. But we can tell you, it's okay. We don't know every actor out there. Carrie Coon is known for her pretty much unforgettable performance role in Gone Girl. She was also in The Leftovers and The Gilded Age. And
The Sinner.
Yeah, and The Sinner, absolutely. And Elizabeth Olsen, she was her acclaimed performance of Wanda Maximoff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and her recent performances in Love and Death. What did you call
her in Marvel?
She's Wanda.
Sorry, I get it. Yeah, Wanda's like it's like the offshoot. WandaVision. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, she's like way more known for Scarlet Witch, to be honest.
Yeah, she is. You're absolutely right. But Elizabeth Olsen is just a fantastic actor.
Yeah, ludicrous.
Yeah, ludicrous. She's also starred in...
Told about on the podcast. Not the word ludicrous, but I told you. Yeah.
You are ludicrous. No, you did. Because there's a video of this.
Yeah.
And it is on YouTube right now. You can go watch Dom.
What wasn't on the podcast, which is very funny, is so when I came in, obviously you plan for these things in your head for a little while, and you want to make sure you're fully prepared for all the questions, every question you could ever want to ask them about what they're doing, and make them feel comfortable, and this kind of thing, and find some nice questions and build a rapport and whatever. What I didn't expect was I wore the Marvel jacket because it's a nice jacket. It's it's an anniversary jacket, and but Lizzie's like lovely woman, very talented, but equally huge presence in the room as in the Marvel universe. Like she's like a really intense person. She's got power. She's a powerful person. And she started asking me all these questions about my jacket, and what's the anniversary for? And I was just like, oh shit, hang on, I wasn't expecting to be interviewed.
You've turned the tables, Lizzie. How dare you?
I literally just sat down and I didn't know what to say about the jacket. I started telling the story about where I got it from, and she said, but what's the anniversary? Because obviously she knows Marvel, and probably all the the Marvel fans know Marvel very well. I was like, shit. The one thing I didn't thoroughly prepare for was my own jacket. Jokes aside, we sort of soon moved into it, and and they were both absolutely fantastic, and just very honest, thought out answers, which is just really good from actors, because it's sometimes hard to sort of delve into process and what they're thinking about, and how they prepare, and insights into the script, and I think you get a really good cross section of that with Azazel's chat especially, and then hearing the other side of it from those two, and Carrie was lovely as well. She was really sincere and gave some brilliant advice at the end of the podcast,
which is what we want, right? This is what we come. Yeah. This is what people come to listen to this for the advice. But why don't we start with Azazel? Because isn't that who you started with in the actual interview?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So Azazel, for those who don't know, Azazel Jacobs, director, he made the critically acclaimed Terry and The Lovers. And he's brought his unique vision to this powerful story. Tell us about what you and Azazel talked about. And then what we'll do is we'll probably play the trailer, get into the chat with Azazel. And then at the other side of that, we'll come back and chat through what you discussed with Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen, or Lizzie to a friend, or to Dom.
Yep.
So, first of all, let's go into Azazel. What will our audience learn from your chat with this fantastic director?
Well, writing roles for actors specifically, developing relationships with them that they want to collaborate on multiple projects, and finding the right time for those collaborations. Setting up a very unique style of shooting. I mean, it's a very original feeling film. And it delves into some of the sort of the strengths of theatre, I think, in terms of how the dialogue kind of opens, but it's very much in its own sort of filmic space as well.
Yeah.
And it's basically a story about a father that's on his way to passing to the other side, and his three daughters come back to the flat that he's living in. One of them is already living there, and it's about the interrelational family dynamic between the three sisters, and they're coming to terms with his imminent passing.
Nice. Let's see. They say the third daughter in the threesome is Natasha Lyonne as well. We'll play the trailer now for his three daughters, and then the other side of that, it will be Dom sitting down, not standing up, with the director Azazel Jacobs.
Rachel, you can't be doing that out here.
Shit's legal now. It's my bitch-ass sister. She's trying to tell me the smoke is killing our dad.
How is Vinny?
Oh, he's fucking dying, but not because of my weed smoke.
I understand what a stressful situation it is. It's very nice that you're all here at a time like this. We all want your father to transition as peaceful as possible.
It's nice that it's us. This is the way it should be, the way he would want it. plan is we all will take turns watching over. You know she hasn't done a shift, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't find that strange? Once we get here, she steps back from all responsibility?
Your life is perfect. You got your kid. Probably gonna pop out a bunch more.
No, nothing pops. There's no popping. That's not the way it is.
Okay, whatever. It looks like popping to me.
Katie started drinking a few hours ago.
How do you like the food?
Thank you for the dinner.
Watch her not even wash her dishes.
Look, they may act like they got it, but they don't. Okay?
What the fuck are you doing? Stop it!
Be a friend of mine. Stay away a while.
You will need each other. It's good that there are three of you.
You know, different types of people. But yes, my dad too, over there, dying. It is my dad, okay?
I'm working on his obituary and was hoping that you could help with it.
Married a couple of crazy bitches, raised a few crazy bitches.
Be a friend to me and let the silence ring.
So, Azazel, welcome to the Filmmakers Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I mean, what an incredible film, moving film, and really felt original. Because, there's been a lot of films about grief, and I think you really had a unique take on this.
I appreciate that.
We talk filmmaking process.
Okay.
So we can go into all that.
That's good. Yeah, cool.
Exciting
I'm into
bits.
this.
So how are you feeling anyway?
Great. We had screenings last night. You always I always want my films to connect, and it's been a really nice experience to just feel this film, in particular, connecting with people. Because, it is a very personal experience. It comes from a personal experience. I try to be as precise. I always feel like if you can be very, very precise about what makes it so yours, that's the best chance it's going to be shared by others. And in this case, is to see that really happening, that people are responding in the way that is speaking to some specific things in their life. I think the other thing that I'm really happy is that I keep hearing people finding joy in the film. And that's what I really wanted to, just for myself going through this experience. It's like, where could the joy be in this? Because it's so painful.
And I think you have to find that balance as well, because grief isn't a linear journey. And I think that's definitely one of the benefits of how you've portrayed the film, because there are lighter moments and there's little bits of comedy sort of splashed around, and it feels sort of real and lived in. I think the personalization is really interesting. So let's start with that. Like, how did this story come about? What was your process in getting it off the ground and those initial sort of beginnings of the film?
Well, it is a personal story. Something that, my parents hit an age, and situations that suddenly something that seemed very far away was suddenly very, very close. And I've been around enough people passing to have very close experience with it as well. I think I needed a space to put some of the fears and hopes that I had of just what was going to go on with my parents into film, and to have some sense of control over something that had felt so completely out of my control. Like, it really, every day was a total surprise, a shock of being like, okay, now you have to learn how to take care of these bills, or how to schedule doctors, or just what pills, or how to do anything when it's not your own life. And especially, my wife and I don't have kids, so it felt like suddenly being forced to learn how to be a parent to a certain way. And so it came from this sudden shock, also the shock that this is supposed to, this is the natural way that you're supposed to outlive your parents. I'm very close with them, and what I understand that this is the best case scenario, but what this world would be like without them was very daunting. So I think that very much inspired me to want to tell a story about it, just to see if I can find this thing that I love doing, filmmaking, that I could bring that into this so that I could find some type of peace with it, and some kind of understanding and some type of control. I also, just to kind of go on with this, I thought that when you know that someone's going to die, that it had this strange shift in time, like it had an effect on time that, yes, I've seen a lot of films deal with grief in amazing ways, but this particular thing of like how time stretches and collapses, I hadn't seen so much explored, and I very much wanted to chase that down. So when I started writing, that was the first thing, which was like the rhythm of how time and people can be when you know something's about to definitely going to happen.
And I think you did that very well with I mean, some of the characters that you introduced, the guy that comes in and tells them about how this should happen, and it's all, there's compassion there, but it's all very like matter of fact. And the three daughters are just trying to deal with this, incredibly difficult event. And I loved how you started the film. That was a really like interesting, original way to start a movie that I was certainly like, okay, what's going on here? Like, how are we going to sort of get into this? And I liked how you wrapped it up very quickly as well. Like after it happens, it suddenly like, it's like you said, the time sort of decompresses again, and it's just back to families, back to grieving, back to everything else, and sort of trying to move on from this moment.
Yeah, and then also with that ending, that's the first cards, really, the credits. I know there's a couple opening of just like production credits in the beginning, but I wanted just to jump into this film in the way that we jump into lives, and we just started, and that there's no build up in that way that, okay, now we're going to a title sequence, or that really all that would be the end, so that it's almost like the whole film is the intro in a way, that the film, the lives exist in a completely different way once the cards come up and the credits come up. But this is like the pre-existence of before this thing that's going to happen with them and how this affects them. So I was excited by just jumping straight into it, the kind of energy that had, and then just seeing the energy that these particular sisters had, especially starting with this big monologue and starting with Katie, just laying into her sister and saying, no, everything's cool, but you did this wrong and you did this wrong and this wrong. It felt like the conflict was there from the first line on, right? Katie says, so you've been good, right? Like, it's a loaded sentence. Well, what do you mean good? Based on what? So it felt like it fueled the whole writing experience for me.
So let's talk about the forming of these three characters, because they're all incredibly different.
Yeah.
They all experience grief in very different ways as well. And they are all fascinating to watch because they have such different sort of dynamics. So, I mean, let's talk about how you created these three characters and how you sort of honed them to get to the point of this amazing sort of interpersonal relationship.
I'm somebody that I wake up quite early now at my older age, and I'll head out into New York City, and I'll just walk around with a little notepad, writing random stuff and not knowing what would become a story or if it would become a story. In this case, I felt like I was kind of writing, every time I wrote, like very different stories. And I didn't know, maybe that could turn into a film, maybe this will. And then it truly was like a fever dream where I realized, like, these different stories are actually different people in this situation. That each of these things that felt very disparate could suddenly be very much in conflict if they were packed into a room with each other. And that's how the writing began. Like, it was more just like, and I think it was from me feeling, as I've gone through this experience with my parents, like I was shape-shifting. Like I was very much jumping from feeling this way to feeling this way to feeling this way. Like, if I could just do this, I'll get this in control. If I could just disappear, I'll feel better. If I could just find some peace with this. And that suddenly represented each of the sisters. And it because they were so different from each other, it set up a conflict that was very easy to just kind of sit back and let it it felt much more like transcribing because they were just in conflict with each other from the first moment on.
I love that kind of idea of hopping from your personal experiences from character to character. I mean, when I started writing, I was always thinking, okay, I'm going to be writing the character I understand the most, and that's where all the personal stuff's going to come from. But it flows into lots of different characters. I mean, what's your process of actually doing the script writing like? I mean, do you like to? It sounds like you've done a lot of note taking and experience building, like, and letting it sort of percolate in your mind for a long time before you start writing. Do you do like treatments? Would you just like to get out there and write?
I would say it's very different for each one. Like, I can't say that the only thing that has been similar is like that I sit down and I get on. I am writing each day. That I am somebody that's like always there for a certain amount of time, for 3 to 4 hours, and then generally after that things just become kind of gibberish. But at least I have like a window, and now at this age it's like that window seems to be an earlier side. I like to get like, sometimes I'll write at coffee shops because it'll stop me from pacing, and I just like that feeling of being around. In this case, I wound up just writing at home, and it changes from project to project. And again, like this one, I was writing random ideas, but it wasn't until I actually sat down and wrote line 1 that led into this big monologue that led into this next section. And it really felt like this one was written in order. Once I had the order, then I wound up making the cards and started seeing like, how this could work out in terms of just like what time of day this could happen. So even though that didn't wind up in the script, I would try to get a sense of like, all right, if this is 10 a.m. and this is 12, how the day would move, since I knew that this was kind of really happening over 3 days. So the cards came after the first draft of the script. That definitely informed the next draft. But this was one of those ones that doesn't always happen, that came out much more realized in a first draft than usual.
It sounds like you'd thought about it in such detail beforehand that it would have...
That's the truth. I mean, the reality is, like, I say this, but if I look back at the 25, 30 years of making film, like, I see each of these, everything that I worked on in this film. So they're all, like, ideas that either may have existed that maybe I've abandoned, or something that you just don't, that you somehow carries on, and you're just waiting for this moment where suddenly you have a vehicle to express this. And so I can feel that. Like, I can definitely see how everything else I wrote led me to an understanding of like a desire to tell this story, but also, feeling that I was capable now through all this, the writing that I had done, to at least chase after depicting this experience truthfully, especially this experience where time moves in such a bizarre way, right? Which is just like one thing takes a few seconds that feels like it should take forever, and other things that should be very quick take forever. And it's odd because you suddenly every moment matters because it's the last moment for somebody that you love, and that everything's about to shift. You just don't know exactly when.
So let's talk a little bit about the getting of this made.
Okay.
So were you writing with anyone attached at that point? Were you was this just writing because it had to come out of you as a great cathartic experience, and then it sort of moved in another direction afterwards? Like, what was the actual getting it casted and funded and Netflix on board, that kind of thing?
I wrote, I would say, the first 25 pages before I realized that I was writing for these actors, that I was, every time I was picturing Rachel, that I was picturing Natasha and Carrie and Lizzie and Javon, who plays Benji, like that I had them. And these are, sometimes you meet actors, you either get to work with them or you cross paths or you see them in films and you just hold on to them and you're like, oh, they're inspiring. For whatever reason, they're inspiring. Whether you wind up working with them or not, they're enough to like just the image of them, the fantasy of working with them is enough to keep you working on whatever it is. But in this case, I actually had relationships with enough of a relationship that I knew I could at least directly reach out to them. Got to a draft of the script that I was happy with, wrote each of them separately, said, hey, I've written something for you. I would love to send it to you. I don't want to email a PDF of this. I'm going to print out the script, and I just want to send this as a hard copy to you. I want this to exist kind of outside of how maybe other projects are coming your way, because I want this film to exist in a very different way. I want to do it in a way that I haven't done since I was printing out scripts and sending them. And I was able to send it to them. Included with that a letter that just said, hey, if you do respond, do know that I will be shooting this on film. I will shoot this on location. I will shoot this as much in order as possible, and that I will have Final Cut, and that this will be our project. And do know that I've also sent this script simultaneously to these other actors who I pictured to play this sister or that sister. And they all responded very positively to the script, and they all turned out to be like massive fans of each other as well. And so it worked that it was like simultaneously I was sending it out at the same time, so they all responded, not knowing that the other one was what their response was, but that they also were like excited that they could get to work with them. They hadn't worked with each other, they hadn't met each other. That conversation, so then we wound up talking. They were like, it only became a matter of finding out when we could do this. From that point on, I had already started working on what the budget of how I'd want to do this, shooting in this way. So I had an idea of the money that I needed to get. And knowing that this was the foundation now, this was us as a group, and that I wanted us to be seen as equal partners in this. So all of us were paid a very low fee with the idea that we'd have a lot of ownership of the project. And that was just the way that was going to be set up. It's the only way that I, from everything that I worked with previously, realized this is the way that this investment makes sense, because it's going to take a ton of our time if we can have that type of ownership. So it also meant doing it on a certain scale. I had worked with enough producers and financiers that I really cared for, that I could go to them and specifically and say, hey, this is the film, this is the actors, this is the deal that's going to be set up, and we're going to be like, we own this amount of it, so you'd come in, you'd be extremely needed and valuable, but this is the foundation of it, and if that's not for you, then I'll move on to the next. I went first and foremost to a company that had been one of the investors in the previous film, French Exit, and that I've known for a long time. They came in with a third, and then from that point on, I was able to build up. And again, the budget wasn't a big budget, but it was exactly what I knew I needed to tell this story in the way that I wanted to.
I mean, it sounds like I really like the approach as well of going out to multiple actors at the same time and being transparent with that. And also, sending them the hard copy, because it kind of includes them in a process that can be very much like a transactional sort of business proposal, and it's actually saying, look, I really do want to collaborate with you. I want to sort of do this in a certain way. And I feel like, was that, do you think that was a big sort of part of them all signing on board, as well as the material and your track record?
I do, because they're all filmmakers, and they love films, and they really had something to give, like other than their names for financing means, like sometimes you see, I think actors are offered these producing credits, but everyone expects them not to really be producers. And in this case, I truly was saying like, hey, I'm going to open up this whole process with you, and your words are going to be extremely important. Like, as I put together, as I think about other people for the roles, and ultimately when I was figuring out, Rudy Galvan, who played Angel, the hospice, like they were there. I brought people in to read against them. Like, they were very important to figure out how this interaction was going to work. They knew when I brought Sam on, I was like, hey, this is somebody whose work Sam Levy, the cinematographer, this is somebody's work that I really like, and these are the reasons why, and these are films that he shot, and just keep this communication in that way, that they knew that I was including them in an extremely meaningful way, and that I wanted to hear what they said. They did hand over an enormous amount of trust. It wasn't this situation where there was never a conflict where they're like, oh, I'm not sure about that person. But they heard me out. They understood my reasons. It wasn't just a surprise. Oh, okay, that's who's playing that. That's who's shooting this. It was always being built up very, with them.
So in terms of that building, let's talk about like rehearsals, what their imprint was on the writing once they were all on board. Like how did that sort of collaboration happen ahead of the shoot?
Well, it's not always like this, but this one, I when I finished writing, I did a paper edit of what I thought how the cuts would work before even I started meeting up with Sam, just because this thing that I was chasing with time. Okay, I need a jump cut here. This is how many angles that I can do so that I can make it move this way. For me to do that, I had to say that this is the script. Like we're not going to go off someplace. We're also going to be shooting this in a very limited amount of time for a bunch of reasons, not only financial reasons, but because it meant that it just gave us a kind of an amazing window of time that would be compact in a way, and a limitation that I thought would be also useful. It meant that we'd have to shoot this and shoot the full scenes and just kind of move at a clip that I thought would be kind of really helpful for telling this type of story. So this is to say that when they responded to it, there was no notes on the script of like, this is something that I think would want to be changed. They asked me why I saw them as each of these characters, and they were kind of surprised. I mean, like, I guess Natasha could see why I would think of her as being playing this person, and Carrie understood that. Lizzie definitely was like questioning, like, is this really who I am? And I was like, well, this is somebody that I see you. I see a part of you. I see this from your work and just from our interactions. I see this as a possibility, but no changes really in script. And so that meant
really subtext that you were sort of working on in a way, like, because the dialogue isn't changing, but they're exploring the inner life of the characters. Yeah.
That's right. And each of them, and this is the case with every actor you work with, they're just going to be very, very different how they approach. So that meant, like with Lizzie, Olsen and I could go and sit down, and for a few days we could look at different clips of different films that I felt like had this balance of humor and drama and darkness, and I could just talk about, not so much that I'm chasing, I want to make this exact film, but this has something in it that feels very connected to this movie. It's inspiring this movie in certain ways. Natasha was really just like meeting up a couple times, talking over the phone, just really getting to know each other as people, because we hadn't known each other at all. And then Carrie, we had some conversations over the phone, but it really, again, was like, do you have any questions? No. Like she said, I don't have any questions. It's all there on the page. I can understand. Do you need anything? No, I feel like unless I do something wrong, that's what I need you to tell me if I'm doing something wrong when we get down there. But like, she didn't need anything other than that. We had about 5 days of being together on location, not exactly the same apartment, but an apartment in the same building that we're shooting, while they're still working on getting the apartment ready. And that was the first time the three of them were meeting each other in real life. And that 5 days, I think what we did mostly is we read through the script and we got to know each other, and we got to know each other in terms of just like, they got to know each other and figure out like each other, get some connection as the sisters that they're going to play, but also embrace the distance that they had as human beings, the actors that they were, but also the sisters were going to be. So a brief amount of rehearsal. I wouldn't know what to do with more time. I know that acting is not like, chemistry is not like this pixie dust. It's what actors do. They create it. But I also did not want to touch the thing too much beforehand. I just wanted to surface level, okay, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm going to frame it. You guys are not going to be, there's no coverage in this. This is not the way, we're not going to figure out the scene in the edit later on. Everything is going to be very, very specific, and talk them through my whole process before shooting.
So you talked about getting the apartment ready. Was this a kind of, and not doing coverage, was this kind of light the area and then you can sort of shoot long scenes? That's kind of what I'm maybe getting from, was that the approach, or was it a little bit more piecemeal than that?
It meant, well, because we were shooting, because we could afford, because it was so small, we were able to afford shooting it in order, which is like bigger films can't do, and especially if there's like tons of locations. But it also meant very much adhering to natural light as much as possible, because you just couldn't black out a window unless you were shooting the other side. It was like really kind of embracing what these walls were, what the windows were giving us, and also the neighbors. Like, we weren't going to be somebody that were going to be shooting throughout the night and kind of destroying any goodwill that was happening, because people were being extremely tolerant as we're bringing up these cables to the 6th floor and running up and down, and people were living their lives. And I wanted that. I wanted the sense that this is an apartment, that this story that I'm telling is just one family among many, 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 even within this small amount of space of this building.
Did you always have an idea where you were going to kind of shoot it, or did it sort of develop as the production sort of went further along?
I had an image of a place, of a type of place, like a place that you're going to get a sense that lives were lived in this specific, within these walls, that these walls held stories within them, that there was generations in there, that the foundation of the apartment was very strong. It wasn't the place that I grew up in New York, but it was a lot of like friends' apartments. And so I had a strong image. It meant me reaching out to lots of kids that I grew up with, finding out if their parents still lived there, if they took over the place. And that kind of led me to a specific building. I was looking for a working class family that, having even what I think some people would say is a small New York 3-bedroom, because it's rent stabilized and the rent is low, that was the gold in this family, that was the treasure that could be passed on. I wanted that to be really worth something. And so it had to exist as something that was, it's gold, but it's also just a small apartment. So, but I walked into this specific spot, and it was one of those things where, like, the actual, the furnishings weren't correct. It was painted brand new. It didn't have like the roots that I wanted to show, and that was all done through the production design. But it had this foundation that was, I felt like, oh yeah, this feels like it was built to last, in the way that a lot of apartments aren't built today. Like,
and so let's just talk a little bit about the prior sort of collaborations, because you worked with Lizzie before on Sorry for Your Loss, and obviously you've got so many collaborators outside of that. What's your process for putting together your team and finding the right people?
Actually,
for a project?
this was a completely me turning that upside down. Yes, I had worked with Lizzie and Diaz, who's my partner, who's a producer on that, and a couple of the producers that came on. Otherwise, it was a completely brand new crew, and I've been working with the same team for the past 17, 20 years, and I felt like my life had turned upside down with what this experience was with my parents, and I wanted to reflect that. And I wanted to just turn that completely upside, that comfort that I've had that built up over years, and I wanted to see what that would do to a production. I wanted to see what it would do to force certain conversations that I no longer had to have with people that collaborators that I worked with for so long, that you don't have to say anything. They just know exactly. I wanted to see, could I figure out the words for how to say these things that I was chasing? And the inverse was, like, in the editing, I've been working with an editor that I love and that I will continue to work with. But in this case, I did not know how I was going to be able to say this thing about time that I was chasing. I didn't know how I was going to put that into words. And so that made me say, all right, I'm going to edit this one myself so that I don't have to figure out how to put that into words. And I could just be left alone in a room and go straight from brain to hand without having to communicate any other way. So this is a total shakeup, actually, like a completely new New York crew. I hadn't shot in New York City for a long time. You know, they were amazing. They came in and everything, they just matched the energy and they gave themselves fully over. Not like this was a job, but like something that they loved to do and they wanted to do.
Amazing. Just one last bit of advice for maybe yourself 10, 20, 30 years ago, like trying to make it in the industry, or maybe someone else that's coming up and trying to get that big sort of break in drama or storytelling.
Two things. I think about two things a lot, which is I think it was really important for me that in the beginning I set a certain goal, right? For me, it was always like, can I pay my rent doing what I love? Like, that was it. And holding on to that has been really helpful because some films haven't been received as well as this one. And there's just things that shake you up and go, you know, your aims, people are telling you, oh, this doesn't succeed in doing this or doing that. But having that to keep on relying, like, oh yeah, that I define success for me, and it's this, and it's not what other people could do. I don't want that defined by other people, has been really helpful for me. So if that is like, oh, I want to make films that are going to communicate to a lot of people, or it's going to win awards, or it's going to make me this much money, that's definitely then something I think you'll have to hold on to, and that will be helpful as you kind of guide your way through. In my case, it felt a bit lower and more tangible in a certain way, even though it's a complete dream to be able to pay your bills doing what you love. I think the other thing is to think about what you have accessible rather than what you need to get. I think that you'll find that you will have access to things, to people that nobody else has. So you may need money, everybody needs these certain things, but not everybody has what you may have, which is the apartment that you could potentially shoot in, or this friend that's willing to do this, or this musician that's willing to come in. That you actually come already with something extremely valuable that nobody else has. And to look at that, look at what do I have besides what do I need to make this film?
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's an amazing film, and I wish you the best with it.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Oh, that was Azazel. There he was.
Azazel, I never.
Nice. Yeah, what a lovely chat. Seems like a lovely bloke as well. I was gutted I couldn't be there this day. I was off filming a commercial and I couldn't sit with Azazel or Carrie or Elizabeth or stand. Couldn't do any of those things. Yeah. No. That was great. Really fun. We didn't do any shout outs at the opening, so we're going to do shout outs now. This is the perfect time to do it in the middle of the podcast, of course. Shout outs to Michael Ridley. He's an actor who's been inspired by the pod and emailed. Shout out to you, Michael, and good luck. Keep in touch. Leon Salivant, Teresa Goodley, Jay Silverman, whose film Camera is out now. He has been on the podcast before. Owen Tooth, Jane Gull, who I saw at the Sharp House and the Revolution party last week.
She a classic podcast alumni.
She is. Another one. Amazing filmmaker. And also you got a shout out to...
Yes, for Eben Bolter and his film The Life of Chuck. Has just won the Toronto People's Award, I think it was, which if rumour is correct, often almost always goes on to Oscar nominations afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
big.
Hopefully we'll be doing that on the podcast.
Big news. Some other big news. My documentary feature.
What, them being on the podcast?
That would be good. Is my documentary.
Forget Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're coming on the podcast.
That's what they're waiting for.
That's what everyone's waiting for in life. You make it onto this podcast, you've made it. Everyone knows this. Is my documentary. Food for thought. We have an announcement coming up very soon. We've pretty much finished it.
Are you with child? That's not the announcement.
No, that would be an announcement. But no, this is my documentary, Food for Thought, about the environment, the planet. And yeah, pretty much finished it. So more news is coming very soon on that. Just thought I'd shout it out. One of your films is...
doing something? Yes, I don't think we can actually announce it.
No, we can't. I just realised when I said it, I was like...
But something I produced is having a premiere at a big festival, which Giles also first AD'd.
Indeed I did. Kevin helped out.
Yeah.
I will be there, and you won't be. So for once, the roles have reversed.
I know.
I'll be standing, and you won't be sitting. So, yeah, sad times. But it's work, and we do what we do, and we have to survive.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have a shout out to Centre Frame as well. Now, if you've not heard of Centre Frame, it's a place where you can go there, find mentors, find funding, because they've got many competitions. You can make films, grow your skills, and connect with filmmakers. Bernard Pucher and the team behind it. So we're sort of teaming up a little bit, and it's called Centre Frame. Link to this will be in the show notes, but they're having industry showcases every 3 months where they select 3 feature films. This is in association with Tizers and SMB, who we work with all the time on our films as well, and sort of the Filmmakers Podcast. But basically 3 exceptional shorts, and one of them could be yours, and then they set up a cinema full of industry professionals, and they do this every 3 months. So if you've got a short film that you want to showcase and you want to get on, then apply now, because people from Castle Ramsey, United Agents, Witchwood Media, Infinity Hill, Collective Talent, Big Rich Films, Shush Films, my production company, and more. Dom Lenoir might be there as well, which is...
Rumour has it.
So you can submit your film. Just go to centereframe.com/industry-showcase, and you can submit your film there. That's it. That's all you got to do. And they will choose. There's no deadlines. As long as you're a registered member of Centre Frame, and you've uploaded your film, is eligible for the showcase. So even if you don't make this one, you could make the next one. You can't... I think you can attend the showcase if you haven't got a film, but you've got to be a pro member. They allow 5 pro members to attend the networking session afterwards as well. So let's get on to our second guests. You already know who they are, because we've talked about them in the intro, and Azazel did as well. It is the fantastic Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen. John, what did you chat about with these 2 amazing girls?
Well, we talked about how much was on the page in terms of preparing for their roles. We talked about the unique vision that Azazel had. We talked about preparation and building characters and not over-explaining things. And also we talked about being authentic and tips for surviving in the industry.
And you talked about your jacket, which sadly I don't think they recorded. So I don't think he's going to make the episode, right? Is that right?
No, it's true, yes, which is probably better for me.
Probably better for you to stumble through not knowing the answers to Elizabeth Olsen's questions.
But yes, if you're listening, Lizzie, it's a 75-year anniversary, and I'm sorry for not knowing my Marvel.
There you go. So next time you see Dom you'll see it on our socials, on our X, on our Instagram. Is Dom in this brilliantly, I'd say, burnt orange Marvel jacket. It's cool. And he gets a lot of comments. And now you know it's the 75th anniversary. By the way, if you are an actor, listen to this. We have other amazing actors being on the podcast, including Lucy Boynton and Kelvin Harrison Jr. We've also had
Mark Strong, Rufus Sewell, and Keely Hawes.
We've also had Ed Skrein and Sophie Bitella and
Rebecca Ferguson and Simon Pegg.
Just a few of our amazing actors who've been on. So search them out. So go to filmmakerspodcast.com and just in the search bar type their names, or just do it now on Google. It will come up, or on your podcast device of choice. Right, let's get to the episode with Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen. Who were sitting down with Dom Lenoir.
Literally.
Here it is.
Marvel aside, I'd love to talk to you about his three daughters.
Great.
You're both incredible in the film.
Thank you.
I mean, your character has got so much dialogue, but you find so much in her life, and it's absolutely fascinating, and you've got such a great flip. Your character is just so incredibly believable. And I think that's one of your real credits as an actress is whether you are doing Marvel or whether you're doing indie films or dramas, you always are just completely believable on screen. So I'd love to just talk about how you first came across the script, how you got into this project, and what was that moment when you thought, I've got to do this film. This is a drama I can't miss.
Well, Carrie and I both, and thank you for saying those things. Carrie and I both know Aza pretty well. Separately. We hadn't met before. And so Aza wrote these parts for the two of us and for Natasha. And I think that was a big part of why I wanted to be a part of it. He could have kind of put anything in front of me and I would have wanted, he and I have been friends and have been trying to figure out how to collaborate again with one another for years. And so when I got to open the first page and I saw Katie, and then I flipped and Katie kept going, I actually thought, how incredible. Like I've never read a script that opens like that, that isn't a play. And so I thought that what he was trying to do with the language and the rhythm and the musicality of this script was so specific and clear, and how he was going to shoot it was so clear on the page as well. These isolated shots where we were not really sure our orientation as we were watching, but also the orientation of the character within the space that they're inhabiting. And I loved that the way he had written it really showed the journey he wanted the audience to go on with him. And yeah, so I think there are many reasons. And then also to just make something as with so much integrity as what he had built. He knew exactly how much money he had. There was no big small announcement. Doesn't matter. It all gets lost. And then you go to a festival and you try and sell it. There's none of that. It was just, I have these three people I've worked with in the past who are able to give me this amount of money. It doesn't matter who I work with. These are the three actresses I want to work with on this project. And he wanted final cut and he wanted to edit it. And I wanted to be a part of that project. Sorry, that's a lot of reasons.
It sounds like he really included you both in the process. Like, not just I'm an actor to be part of this, machine of filmmaking. Like, come on board and work with me on this.
And Natasha and you have said too, it was like we were making a home movie for Aza to process the possibility of the loss of his parents.
Yeah,
it was like a project we were doing, and it didn't matter who was going to see it.
Yeah,
we didn't know if anybody would ever see it.
Yeah,
and so here we are. Netflix.
I think a few people have seen it.
I've made it so, and we're very grateful because we didn't have that expectation. And so therefore it was very pure experience for us.
So let's talk a little bit about building your characters, because I talked a bit with Azazel earlier about how he's very specific about the shots and how he's planning things. Sounds like the dialogue didn't change tremendously, so it's very much about the subtext, I'm guessing. So what were maybe some of the things when you came on board that you looked at the script and you thought, okay, I'd like to bring a little bit of personalization into here, or this is some direction I'd like to go, maybe those discussions with him as well?
Well, I mean, I think with watching your process, if I may.
Please, I'm very curious.
There is no specific language besides Christina just saying, well, Katie's been drinking or whatever to her husband. When I read it, and this might be too much of a reflection of the way I look at the world, but I never read it thinking, oh, Katie has a drinking problem. And you approached it with that kind of realization of, well, this woman, I don't know, you can speak to that. But I that wasn't something that to me screamed off the page. And it was something that
But I think that's one of the strengths of the script, too, is that it doesn't over-explain any of the backstory. So, yes, we did have discussions with Aza about the timeline, about the two, because, of course, Natasha's our half-sister in the film. So there were two stepsisters. There were two mothers. And so we had a discussion about, like, when were we in the space at the same time growing up, and when were we apart, and just when those women died. So very brass tacks. Yes. And I had a discussion with him about like what kind of job Katie had, because I wanted to know about her education. But otherwise, everything was on the page. And I love that he's not giving too much information to the audience. And that's what to me makes it feel like a movie from the 70s or 80s when we dignified the audience by not over explaining things. And I think that's what Oz is doing really well. And it reminds me of like Chabrol or something. Like it's just, you don't need to know their backstories to relate to the story that's unfolding in front of your face.
And how is it working together and that collaboration and sort of building your sisterly? Because you're all such clearly defined, very different characters, and yet you glue in this glue. You are the glue keeping everyone together, I guess. And your character
controlling everyone,
and then but then there's the flip at the end. So I mean, it's a really interesting dynamic.
I think how we started working with each other is just knowing that we all showed up with a similar intention, which is we have a very short period of time and a lot of constraints to make this project. I'm going to be as open and vulnerable and honest with you as possible of who I am. And I think sometimes when we start that process, not everyone has to do that, right? Not every actor cares to share in that way, and that's fine and totally doable. But I think we all signed up for something thinking, let's get messy with this. And I think for me, without meaning to, I actually took a bit of a back seat in a way, as Christina would, without really thinking about how I was interacting with you guys based on how Christina does. But I do think there's always like a bit of that happens. But you and Natasha are so highly intelligent and both incredibly verbal and funny. And I kind of love just watching the two of you just play. It has nothing to do with the script even. And so I already started to feel myself.
It's so funny that you speak of yourself that way, because that's not how you occur in a room at
That's
all.
funny.
Your
Okay.
presence is so... You're just very present, and
that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like you're so down to earth, but yet you're also completely captivating. It's never like showy, but it's also gravitational.
Yeah, lit from within, and just like sort of always just like just there, And it's just like
what happened in my head when you said lit from within.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
You ever seen a glowworm?
Charming. I had a little glowworm as a child, a little baby glowworm I carried around, sang songs to me.
So what were some of the hardest bits? Of the shoot for you both?
Shooting the fight was hard just from a physical, just like because we're in this tiny apartment and figuring out how to like make sure the camera could see into the room while we were doing that. So you had to like artificially position to make sure they could see in. Yes. So there was some stuff like that was just because of the space.
And then the language changed. There's so many interruptions, so we were really drilling.
Yeah, when those interruptions were happening.
Yeah, it wasn't improvised at all.
No.
It was very
specific.
Very specific, and we were drilling that as well. Yeah. And then also, I think the thing that was interesting for me is Carrie's a very strong woman, and I genuinely was holding her back. And the only other person that happened that I'm realizing is with Lily Rabe, and both have crazy theatrical careers. So there's something about the confidence and the physicality.
I'm very grateful you say that. You do in the stage, there's literally nowhere to hide your body. So if you're not acting with your whole body, it's pretty boring.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough.
So watch out for Carrie.
Yeah. Watch out.
Any last bits of advice, maybe for actors trying to sort of break in, make good drama? I don't know, like when you're maybe sort of putting your minds back into earlier parts of your career when you're...
Don't try to guess what other people want. Don't try to make yourself into the thing you think other people want. The most authentic work is going to come from who you are. So you would do well to do the work to find out who that is, and that's where the best art will come from.
That's good. I'd leave it at that.
Anything to raise that?
No, I'd leave it at that. That's good.
Okay, fantastic. And a very nice rendition of Five Little Duckies, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank
that
you.
was it's been actually stuck in my head the
it is
last
a
few
bit of an
days.
earworm.
Every night just sort of pops in and out.
Yep, we were singing it too after that.
Yeah, and Rodrigo's music on Ronte is so beautiful as well in the film.
Yeah, incredible music. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
it's
you,
been
Tom.
an amazing chat. And very well done. It's great to watch this sort of caliber of drama and such real lived-in performances.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, what an episode. Oh, so much fun. That was the amazing Carrie Coon and the absolutely delightful Elizabeth Olsen. Oh, what a great episode. What a great Filmmakers Podcast episode for you.
What a treat.
What a treat, Primo host. Smashing out another live interview with cameras
Who would have thought? Who would have thought all those years ago?
I know. Yeah. No.
Bumbling my way through my first interviews, and then
I know.
Somehow in the room with these kind of people, and actually, you know, objectively, I've heard that I'm reasonably good interviewer.
Yeah, you're definitely a reasonably good interviewer. It's actually a fantastic interview. It has to be said. You hold your own so well, and you don't look at notes. And as we know from
it's often commented on.
It is. Why aren't you looking
like
at
horrified people in the foyer? But first of all, it is all.
We're going. No,
first of all, it's all in my head. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's people that use notes that are like brilliant with them, and it's just part of their process. But for me, like it's about rapport. It's about connection. It's about kind of like listening and responding.
Yeah.
And I find it just takes me out of it, and it always has, and I've always just been like much better just doing it from preparation and the kind of questions that on the Filmmakers Podcast as well. Yeah. We do have we have very specific lines of questioning that kind of work. So
totally agree. Yeah, there we go.
No questions, no problems.
Right. His Three Daughters is on Netflix this Friday, starring Natasha Lyonne, as well as our guests, Elizabeth Olsen, Carrie Coon, and directed by the amazing Azazel Jacobs. Dom Lamar. So there we go. Chatting creative process, the challenges of bringing such intricate characters to life, and the film's explorations of family dynamics and the complexities of human connection. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Dom, for being an amazing host. And thank you for the fascinating conversation with these amazing individuals.
Oh, all of them brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Filmmakers Podcast. I've been Giles Alderson, who's just literally done the intros. And this man is Dom Lenoir. Thank him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for not making me do the intro on my own again, which is that's like my nemesis.
I have had a few comments about when you did that. Yes, that was.
Have you?
Yeah. Nothing. Like just like okay, that was interesting.
That was something.
Something. Do you know what I mean? It's funny because you're like amazing and like sat down with people. Yes. Yeah. So what's with the intro, people?
What is with the intro? Well, there's no one to connect with.
Right, you're right. You need that connection to be.
I need that connection. Yeah, that is it. That's genuinely it. Yeah.
I think you've got to
also,
it
depends. Doing it on your own at like 10 at night, like in your room.
Yeah,
trying not to wake anyone up. It's a different vibe to
totally
out and about and
Yeah, I've done that many times. Yeah. Over the years. Right, we will see you next Tuesday, as always. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to
send the elevator back down.
We will see you next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye, Dom.
Bye, Giles.
Bye, everyone.